For years, a week before I started my period, I was convinced that I'd gained 15 pounds, that I needed to go on a diet. I would look at myself, I would feel disgusting. I just didn't like what I looked like and how I felt. And it took me a really long time to realize, oh, this happens every month where I feel really awful about myself. Maybe this isn't about my body. Maybe it's about where I am in my menstrual cycle. So today we're going to talk about our menstrual cycle and how that affects our life, our emotions, our body, our food, how we move, how we live our life. Hello, everyone. I'm Marla Mervis-Hartmann, creator of Love Your Body, Love Yourself, and I support you to find freedom with your food and confidence and to live the life that you deserve to live. Understanding your menstrual cycle will help you to become a better friend to yourself. You'll get to learn more about how this body, how your emotions, and how you can move through your life in a more graceful way. So let's go through the different cycles. First, you have your menstrual cycle where you're bleeding, and this can last up to 2 to 7 days. After that, you're moving into the follicular phase. Now, that is the phase where you start to build a little bit more energy. You're feeling a little bit more like yourself. And then we will move into ovulation. And during ovulation, this is when you're going to feel your most sexy, confident, you have more creativity, you feel alive, you have a lot more energy. And then we moved into the luteal phase, which is what most people call premenstrual syndrome. This is when we're experiencing that. So how is this helpful? Well, it's important for us to realize that there are dips and there are high places of energy, and that we're going through each month in a specific way. And if you begin to notice that, you can begin to prepare for how you are structuring your life. For example, day 21 and day 22, I realized after tracking my cycle that, wow, I have no energy on those days. I'm very low energy. I feel like I'm pushing myself through my days. And so I don't fly on those days. I don't do anything really big on those days. I make those days as much as I can chill. I will look and I will see, okay, I'm going to be in my ovulation phase. This is a great time for me to do another project, to go out with a friend after working all day, that I can actually do that. 21, day 22, no. So we can look at these different phases and we can be aware of how we want to move and exercise. So during the follicular phase, we're going to get a little more energy. We're going to be feeling pretty good. As we move into ovulation, maybe you want to run if you're a runner, or maybe you want to do a HIIT exercise or something more intense. You don't want to do that 2 days before your period. This is when we're going to come inward. We're going to let ourselves do some restorative yoga, some other yoga. When you begin to tune into this, you're going to be aware of it. So why is this helpful if you're struggling with your body or your food? It's important because there are moments where we're saying, wow, I was doing really good. I was doing this HIIT exercise and then my body just crashed. See, I'm sabotaging myself. I can't get it right. And that's not the case. We need to look at ourselves as these changing beings. That isn't that we put ourselves on a schedule and we stick to it. No, we want to listen to our bodies and be aware of our bodies and get curious on how we're feeling. Let's look at our emotions. and how that can be affected. So I have a client who actually encouraged me to make this video around the menstrual cycles and how I was helping her as we were looking at how she was emotional and how certain things in her life would be awful. Like, oh my gosh, right? Everything was wrong. Relationships were wrong. Work was wrong. It was intense in her luteal phase and her premenstrual phase. And then I check in on that in another week or two, and I'd say, how's that going? What's going on? Oh, that worked itself out. And so we began to look at, okay, let's check in and let's become aware of where you are in your cycle so that when you are having some of those huge, big emotions, you can look and say, okay, I'm ovulating and I'm feeling pretty good. This is really not okay. Or I'm in my luteal phase and this is really not okay. And from this heightened state, I need to get myself into a calmer place before I make huge decisions. Now, I just want to say that PMS and the luteal phase gets a lot of bad rap. We're told that women can be told that people who bleed can be told that they are irrational and there's something wrong with us. Sometimes the situation is that we've pushed things down and we haven't acknowledged them throughout the month or our life. And then it comes to the luteal phase and our hormones and our body and our being is like, no, I'm not putting up with this. I don't have any space for this. As a friend of mine calls PMS, please more space. I have no space for this. And these emotions are real and they're raw. And they're going to be felt, and I'm not holding them in, right? So there's a understanding in that we need to acknowledge these big feelings. However, when it comes to making big decisions, maybe about these big feelings, we want to wait a week or 2 weeks and notice how we're feeling about it. This can be very helpful when it comes to our body, when it comes in the example I gave you at the beginning, where I really thought that every month I thought I needed to lose weight. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, wow, I look great, right? So we want to check in with that. We also want to look at our food choices and notice, wow, I'm craving salt around this time. How can I support myself to eat something salty and yummy around a certain time in your cycle that supports you? So you're not grabbing at some nasty potato chips that makes you feel not good. No, if you want to plan that, right? You want to say, okay, I'm going to have that bag of potato chips during this time because this is a time my body really wants it. That can help you to not have shame around it. It's not about whether you have it or not. It's how you feel about yourself. That's the most important. There's also a lot of information out there around the different foods that you can have in your different phases that can support you. So I invite you to look at that. If it gets you really excited, then dive into it. There's a book called Woman's Code, who I love. I think it's a great book. It is so informative about your menstrual cycle, about how you can support yourself by knowing more about it. This is all about more awareness of this body that you have. It's also going to serve you so that you're not shaming yourself and you're beginning to understand yourself. You're not making yourself wrong for feeling a certain way or craving something at a certain time. There also is another woman who I really like, and her name is Nicole Jarden, and I will put her information below too, because she goes into fixing your period, working with your menstrual cycle, and she has so much information around this. So I hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to this channel. I'm wishing you a beautiful day.